Defense and Security Department at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Mark, thanks for being with us here this morning. So let's talk about this meeting. In your estimation, what are the chances these two have a face-to-face?
Chances are looking pretty good. President Trump has been pushing it hard. I think it will be difficult for Putin to say no. The circumstances are unclear. It may be that President Trump has to be there personally to sort of referee and to make sure they do get together. If they do get together, it would be a very positive step forward.
The president did say, though, he has no real intention of being a part of this meeting. He wants the two of them to meet face to face, even saying that it might be best if he stayed out.
I know he wants to do that. It would be good to have the two sides meet directly. But given the difficulties in the past, particularly the fact that Putin doesn't regard Ukraine as a real country, he regards it as a part of greater Russia, it may be difficult to get them together, and it may be difficult to get them to have a productive discussion. One could imagine that the one-on-one would end up with a stalemate and perhaps even a shouting match.
Well, I guess that's the bigger question here, is how much does Vladimir Putin really want to negotiate this deal? Or is this more just kind of theater here to appease President Trump and other world leaders?
Unfortunately, I think it's more of the latter. President Trump has been putting some pressure on him by providing weapons and rhetorically attacking Putin, increasing sanctions or threatening to do that. The thing is that Putin believes he's winning this war. He's been moving forward. His troops have been moving forward over the last 18 months. They've captured territory about the size of Delaware, although at immense cost. Their casualties are now over 1 million. And he also believes the time is on his side, that if he waits long enough, the West and the United States will just tire of the war and give him what he wants.
Let me ask you the concessions. We heard Secretary of State Rubio talk about, hey, you know what, both sides are going to have to probably give a little bit up in order to come to some type of ceasefire and or peace deal. So in your estimation, what does that look like? What type of concessions are we to be looking at from Ukraine and from Russia?
On the Ukraine side, they'll almost certainly need to accept the front lines where they are. They've wanted to push those front lines back, recapture all of their territory. Russians control about 18% of Ukraine, but that's not going to be possible. They may have to give up Crimea, which is sort of in an unusual category, and they probably won't get any reparations or war crimes from Russia. On the other side, Russia is going to have to accept some sort of security guarantees for Ukraine. Ukraine won't agree to any settlement that doesn't give them assurances that Russia won't invade again. And they'll also have to recognize Ukraine as a sovereign country. And that will be hard for them.
So let's look at that. Obviously, Russia says that Ukraine joining NATO is a non-starter. Any troops on the ground, whether NATO, U.S., that is a non-starter. Ukraine saying, hey, we need some security assurances here to make sure in a year's time, 6 months' time, 2 years' time, they don't invade again. And I'm assuming those are the big sticking points with any type of negotiation here. And it seems as though, even though there is some talk that these two are willing to meet, there doesn't seem to be a lot of wiggle room right there, because Ukraine is not going to say, OK, you can take the Donbass region and you can take Crimea, and then we'll just call it, we'll call it a day.
Well, right now, there's not a lot of overlap. The two sides don't agree on these two big issues, which, as you point out, are territory and security guarantees. It's possible to have a security guarantee for Ukraine that looks something like what it's doing now with NATO. It's not a member and it won't become a member, but it has a close relationship. NATO provides weapons and training that might be sufficient for them.
All right, Mark Cancian from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show.
And you can find our continuing coverage on the war in Ukraine at our website at cbsnewyork.com.